Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Grant Palmer. This is my other business partner, Brandon Johnson. We're here to represent 2000 South Main Street. What we're here today is to seek approval in order to receive the batch plant permit for a CUP. What we are seeking to do is to place a batch plant inside of the enclosed silo system. It is something that is not traditionally done. What we're trying to do is look at alternatives in order to try to think outside of the box in order to produce and to be able to cohabitate and work collectively with the various neighboring communities. As such, the bottom lower, which would be lower right-hand corner, which is the southeast of the property, is where the proposed batch plant would go, which is inside one of the steel silos. This silo is the furthest point away that we can, in order to put the batch plant while also keeping it enclosed. We bought the property in 2024 in July. Before that, the property was on the edge of being condemned. The asset was completely destroyed. All of the wiring, all of the homeless have effectively taken over the property. As such, we have since made substantial improvements, putting a entire perimeter fence around the property, which has been successful in being able to help protect and improve the property. After that, we have since gone through and retrofitted all of the lead tracks as well as the ladder railroad tracks to be able to make this facility usable again. In addition to that, after those improvements were made, we saw a substantial amount of decrease to the property as far as police reports, any type of crime. And then in addition to that, all of the other neighbors, the property started to close, additional property values started to increase. Our private security team has since created a miniature task force, which also works with all of the other neighboring property owners as well as the buildings in order to try to create a safer environment. Some of the items that have come up through the public responses have been concerns about dust mitigation protocols. There are various different measures that we are taking. By enclosing the batch plant, one of the primary items that we are able to do is use what would effectively be, I believe it is 6,300 CFM, in order, which would get attached onto a batch plant. Now that traditionally would go onto a batch plant that you would see when you're driving anywhere within the city. In addition to, and that is what would be in compliant with TCEQ regulations, et cetera, in order to prevent dust mitigation. We are going above and beyond that and proposing that while the batch plant is also enclosed, creating a negative air and negative pressure within the silo in order to create an additional dust collection system. If you could please go to the one more over. Correct, yes, and then this one. 1,400 CFM is what the amount of air that is able to clean. If you can please go to the next slide.
You can use the clicker.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that would be a photo of what the additional dust collection system that we will be implementing if granted approval. Here's a photo of the silo. It also looks deceivingly small. This thing is extremely large. It also carries a historical designation, so we can't knock it down. But the silo itself is approximately about 70 feet tall, which is able to enclose the entire batch. There's an additional photo. And then another exterior shot. And that's a photo where
We're timed at about 30 seconds.
Sounds good. The only other thing I guess to notate is there are additional properties that already have batch plants in neighborhood areas that are inside of Fort Worth, of which I provided that right here. They have a very large batch plant, of which the batch plants that we are proposing to use is the newest technology on the market in order to help dust mitigate those items as well. So I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Very much.
Southside Fort Worth. I'm the president of the Jennings May St. Louis, or JMSL Neighborhood Association, active member of HIMPO Corridor Development Collaborative, and a board member of the HIMPO Mutual Aid Fund, and I strongly oppose this change of use request. Mayor Matty Parker and council denied a similar case in October 2024, as well as rejected similar plans for being too close to apartments and homes. Dallas has denied them a mile from parks due to health risks. This change would be far worse as it sits in the middle of District 9 and 11. Let's be clear about what that means. This is permanent change for cement bat usage would be 50 feet from the nearest homes and in the backyards of the Habitat for Humanity homes currently being built. 265 feet from JPS Hospital, where hundreds of staff and patients park and walk that distance daily into the hospital, and the many bus stops outside it service at least 5 to 12 patients every 15 to 20 minutes. 360 feet from my home and residence in JMSL, where my kids and neighbors play outside. 400 feet from South Hempel Heights and Ryan Place, 1,600 feet from Fairmount and Daggett Montessori School, less than a mile from Magnolia Avenue and Dickey Skate Park, which draws visitors from across the Metroplex, less than a mile from near Southside and South Main Village, where there are frequent outside festivals, markets, and events, 2 miles from Trimble Tech High School, Baylor All Saints, Harris Hospital, and the medical district where thousands visit daily. And just 2 miles from Cook's Children's Hospital, where Texas and Fort Worth's most precious and susceptible residents come to heal. Other batch plants in our city are on average at least 3,000 feet from homes. Here you're being asked to put one practically in our back porches. The negative air claim listed is meaningless if there is no written commitment of specifications Grant Palmer has just presented in the zoning request, and there is no plan for the dust that will come from the supply piles, trucks, or the rest of the property. Other than the city notice August 1st, this developer has never reached out to the neighborhood association. None of the emails listed on the city website for JMSL or any of the other neighborhoods listed that we have spoken to, and we have confirmed JPS was not informed either until August 7th when we reached out, and that lack of transparency has resulted in the 58 letters of opposition zoning has received on this case. 13 days was not enough time to gather my neighborhood's input or surrounding community input for the safeguards we need written into the permit. Our community deserves a chance to protect its health and safety and not be test subjects for something that sounds great in theory but may not work. This hazardous dust will not discriminate. It will be in our yards, on our grills, in our homes, and in our lungs. These volatile emissions cause eye irritation, headaches, fatigue, permanent liver, kidney, and brain damage in even the most healthy people. My youngest child has severe asthma. This change to the plant being 360 feet from my home could be life-threatening for him. Fort Worth calls itself walkable, family-friendly, and fastest growing in the nation. But approving this would turn the South Side into an industrial sacrifice zone 5 minutes from downtown. We've already endured contamination at 2300 South Main. We cannot afford another environmental wound in our neighborhood. Please protect our air, our health, and our future by denying this change of use permit. If that cannot be done, then at least postpone this vote. Have the developer meet with the affected neighborhoods off Hemphill. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about my kid. And with JPS, provide their plan in writing and submit the change of use permit. I've spoken with several of the other neighborhood leaders, and we are prepared to work together as a community to gather a list of environmental specifications to present and be resubmitted by the developer so that we can feel safe supporting this project, knowing they will be enforced by the city. And we know we need more time to gather that necessary information and engage affected residents. A postponement will ensure that our input is thoughtful, well-informed, and truly representative of the community's voice. This request, as is, does not belong in the middle of our homes, our schools, our parks, and our hospitals. Thank you.
You did great.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just want to second Ms. Angela's
motion. I'm Ricardo Avitia, I'm a resident of Fort Worth. I basically said the same thing she did. I'll be as brief as possible. Let's be clear, this proposal is inconsistent with the surrounding area. The future land use map also states light industrial, which makes this zoning inconsistent. Yet the staff report states it is consistent. Allen Street is a narrow, single-lane road directly in front of JPS Hospital and emergency entrance. Increasing industrial traffic here would create dangerous congestion, spike pollution, and strain emergency access. The developer may say Allen Street won't be used, but this is the developer making the statement and not the driver who will be in traffic trying to get to and from the facility most adequately. Even now, in our neighborhood, there are no truck passing signs, but we still see 18-wheelers coming through our residential streets trying to get to Hemp Hill and Morningside. Only on a windy day, particulates will blow straight into our residential medical areas and schools. Hope Works, Hemp Hill and Allen. Hope Works School is on Hemp Hill and Allen. There's a Zavala and Daggett Montessori. This commission has rejected such threats before, and it must again. In 2022, a proposed industrial facility across from an elementary school in Echo Heights in southeast Fort Worth was denied with prejudice after residents cited health and safety concerns. That decision was upheld by the city council. Last year, Mayor Maddie Parker denied a similar facility, citing its impact on safety and quality of life. And in 2025, city leaders successfully railed against another temporary concrete batch near Lake Worth, half a mile from a high school, citing particular emissions and quality of life disruption per the Fort Worth report. Additionally, lack of traffic impact and environmental assessments. Rezoning should not proceed without a transparent traffic study and environmental impact report. We demand that the same civic courtesy. I urge later decision reflect that fusion. Let it ring clear that Fort Worth does not trade its community's well-being for the unchecked advance of industrial sprawl. Lastly, the developer has stated they are trying to protect the neighborhood, yet they have not yet reached out to our neighborhood, JMSL, or other neighborhoods in the area. The fence mentioned earlier is a chain link fence with barbed wire, not necessarily nice looking. Although it may keep folks out. And there is another batch plant off of Hemp Hill and Thielen, which is about 2 miles south of this particular site. And there is dust all over Hemp Hill and into the entrance of Greenbrier Community Center, if you all are familiar with that particular area. So regardless of the dust mitigation, there's gonna be dust regardless because of the entrance and exiting of trucks and such. So let's deny ZC 25-128 with prejudice, because that's how we protect what really matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. After that.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Razak. I'm the JPS Vice President and Chief Quality Officer. I'm here with the Senior Vice President of External Affairs as well as Chief of Staff of JPS, Fletcher. Really, we're here to urge you to deny this application. I'm also a practicing pulmonologist, by the way. The hospital district has not been spoken to, consulted on this application. And to give you some idea of the impact, currently JPS urgent care, the number one reason people present is for respiratory illness. So when you have vulnerable population coming into an environment that is likely to be, it will really exacerbates the problem. The additional thing for the hospital district, as you're all very well aware, is the Texas Administrative Code really are very prescriptive of care handlings within the hospital. There are certain prescribed amount of care exchanges depending on the area of the hospital. Some of these areas are positive pressure, some of it are negative pressure. This really will place an unusual burden on the hospital system to be able to handle extra amount of dust and really cause a lot of system failure. A lot has been said, which I completely agree. There's also issue of noise, traffic, the emergency vehicle, or foot traffic on the road. So for these and many more, I really, on behalf of the hospital district, urge you to deny this application.
Thank you, Doctor. We've got Dr.
Christina, can you hear us?
Looks like you're on. There you are.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. Welcome to zoning commission.
Hi. I actually wasn't called earlier for a zoning case in the Rosemont community, but I'm really happy that I was called on this case. I'm speaking out in solidarity with the JMSL Neighborhood Association. Miss Angie spoke earlier. And I'm in the Rosemont community, so we're also a Hemp Hill area community. And I can say that if this was in our backyard, which is pretty close, I wouldn't want this for the children of our community, for my 4-year-old. But the Southside community is a very tight-knit community. We spend a lot of time in each other's neighborhoods. I take my daughter to the park in JMSL, and I can say that our advocates in the Hemp Hill area, such as Miss Angie and Mr. Ricardo, have worked really hard to improve life for the residents of the Hemp Hill area, and approving a case like this would just be backtracking the hard work of those of us that are working hard to improve the life and the health of our community members. So I'm requesting that you deny this zoning change request.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you for having us here today. I just want to clear something up that there is some precedent to this situation. There is a batch plant on Lawnwood that is directly closer to neighborhoods than our proposed site. As they also said, that we are in line with the zoning and with the CUP. Since we purchased the property, before we purchased the property, we met with Councilwoman Martinez, and we've been lockstep with her the whole way, giving her our plans of what we've been looking at doing with the site. Once we came up with doing a batch plant inside the silos, we reached back out to Councilwoman Martinez, as well as Councilwoman Beck, the neighboring district. And Councilwoman Beck gave us the Sierra Club and the Fairmont Neighborhood Association to reach out to. Didn't hear anything back from the Fairmont group, but we did meet with the Sierra Club and the Downwinders from Dallas. They all came over to the proposed site. We walked them through our property. We showed them everything that we were doing. We showed them where all our sand and all our aggregates would go, where the patch plant would go, where the trucking would go, where the trucking would go, and how the truckers would go through and stay on the proposed trucking transportation that they have given us from the city of Fort Worth. So we're here to be advocates and partners with the community. We're not trying to be adversaries. Again, this site is sitting here for 3-4 years, nothing but homelessness. So we've come in and we tried to fix it up. We also worked with Councilwoman Martinez. We said that she said she would like to paint the silos on the property. So we said, okay, after a year or two, once we get the property cleaned up, we'd like to get some buy-in from the community, have some people come do some murals on top of the silos, because I know there's a lot of graffiti that's on some silos next door to us. So we're trying to help clean up the property. But at the end of the day, Fort Worth is growing. We know how fast Fort Worth is growing, and Fort Worth needs concrete. So we're not putting cement in these silos. I know some people don't understand the difference between cement and concrete. Cement goes into concrete. We're manufacturing concrete for your city to grow. So we just want to be here to help. We want to be here to be good partners of the neighborhood. I've been doing ready-mix concrete for a long time, and I haven't met anyone who's gotten sick working around batch plants. I understand and I get the mitigation and the concerns. So that's why we said we would try to make sure that we could put it inside the silo, give you 2 different dust collection systems that'll make sure that you keep down any kind of dust that can ever happen. Most dust you may get is from trucks driving around. Other than that, we're here to be partners with the community and not an adversary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This time.
There's a company called Rinker Materials that is right in Grand Prairie on I-30. If you've ever driven back and forth from Dallas to Fort Worth, you'll pass by this location hundreds of times. They may have 8 batch plants, all enclosed. You never see any dust. That's what we're proposing.
So the doctor from John Peter Smith said they did not get notification of this. You got a pulmonologist that says that they were not aware of this situation. Now, I'm listening to the doctor, an expert here, and he's saying that it could impact folks medically. So have you reached out to John Peter Smith in particular about that?
Again, we have not. Now, when we had our conversations with both councilmen, we asked them who should we speak to in this area. We were given the Sierra Club and Fairmont Neighborhood Association. No one else.
You were closer to John Peter Smith. I know where Osano's at, so John Peter Smith is not too far.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a county hospital, and you know they're seeing indigent folks. My opinion, you should have reached out to them and said, hey, let me get you to look at what we're doing. Let's make sure it's medically safe for us to do it.
Fair enough. But again, we were told to reach out to the neighborhood associations, and so that's why we took that route. Nothing slighted at JPS. Had we been given that contact, we would have definitely contacted.
Just real quick, from a zoning perspective, we notify neighborhood organizations that are registered within a half mile. So I'm not sure if JPS would have been notified from this perspective.
Yeah, they're not a half mile.
He said he went to the councilman. He didn't come. This didn't come from the zoning commission. He said he went to Councilman Beck and Martinez. So Councilman Beck, that would be JPS is in her zone. Is there not?
Yeah, but we're in Council Martinez's district.
They're right on the line.
They're right on the line now.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Maybe I missed this in your presentation. Are you planning on using just the silos, bottom of the picture that's up here, or are you using the whole, all of the building?
No, we're just using the two metal silos.
Proposing happens to the rest of the buildings.
The rest of the buildings have a bunch of frac sand. If you want to.
Yeah.
So we're still determining what exactly the best use of those specific silos are. As of right now, we've gone through, we've taken a look, we've gotten a good idea as to what is in it, and then ultimately what it takes to ultimately remove the product. If there is anything that isn't in any of them, the majority of them are actually they're empty. So.
I have a question. Are you part of Alice Street Trust, or did you purchase this from Alice Street Trust?
We actually bought this from Atterbury Grain, which is based in Amarillo. So it's a grain trading company, but we have no affiliation to what would be the silos, which are to the east. And I believe that's what you're talking about with that trust. We've been working very hard to try to figure out how to work with that owner specifically because of the homeless problem that's over there.
Teenagers.
There's lots of issues and.
Okay, so
Yes.
just to clarify, your property is not the property that in 2020 the city accepted $1,000 grant from the EPA to tear down the structures. It's the other property.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. So we are to the west side of Main Street. Yes, the west side of Main Street. The property that I think you're referring to is over to the east side, which is
Telephones, graphics.
You could draw on the screen.
Oh, okay. Over there.
As a point of clarification, the Alice Street silos are different from this area. It's a third silo that is much further south.
Further south.
And those are the ones that the city got the money to the EPA mitigation with potentially demolish.
Yeah, I'd also like to add just one other item.
Hold on one second.
Oh, sorry.
This is just for us asking questions. Does that need any more clarification, Commissioner?
No, I understand, but
Any other questions by
concern
any
is the
other
rest of the buildings on the property.
Mr. Chairman, since we have a public hearing, and what we're hearing is that people weren't notified, and I know the staff does the notification process. And Stephen, I think you should probably step in and tell whoever's watching us what the notification process is, the sign process, so on and so forth, because it's, kind of incredible that people would think that they were not notified.
Or from a zoning perspective, we notify property owners within 300 feet. We have an email listserv, which means that you can sign up for email notifications for zoning cases within your district. We put out a sign for each zoning case. We notify neighborhood organizations within a half mile. They get an email with the application and things of that nature.
But y'all didn't.
And we also place a map on our website, kind of showing early on where some of the zoning cases are coming up.
No, you didn't.
It's the applicant's responsibility also to notify the neighbors of what they're trying to do. That's why we have a thing on the checklist that says, have you notified your neighborhood organizations? So all those neighborhood organizations are listed, and we also have a list on our staff report of neighborhood organizations that are
Clarify that. Commissioner?
Wait till we're close.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Seeing no more questions, we will close the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you.
The old technology up north. And in part of the statement I made to one of the school boards, I just want to read it real quick. It's very short. There's a similar site in Rendon, an unincorporated area within Mansfield ISD that was heavily opposed by the residents. Those residents who have lived in proximity to a concrete batch plant for decades created a small nonprofit to take action against the facility. Families have experienced an increase in the instances of severe respiratory issues and even some childhood cancers due to regular exposure to waste particulates, particularly fly ash, during production of millions of cubic yards of concrete. That being said, the technology sounds like a vast improvement over what we've dealt with in the past. I would love to see it explored further. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, we just don't know what it is. For everybody else, please make sure that you talk to your state representatives about continuing to allow cities and towns to manage their own zoning. There is a push from some people in the state legislature to eliminate zoning. We have to speak up. Everybody in this room can register and talk to your reps. Please do it so that we can take care of ourselves and keep the bad products out and get into this new technology.
My comments on this, I disagree with the staff report. This is compatible. This is good land use. It's just, I mean, if you look at part of the site, it's surrounded by industrial and railroad, so sure, except for the proximity to all those homes on the other side of those tracks, and all of the schools, the hospitals. I don't see it at all. I can't support this. I welcome your comments.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I just can't see that active, and it's closer to me, the residents, especially those most vulnerable. I just can't support that. I really can't.
I also wanted to ask if there was.
I just think this is a property that's in a bit of a quandary. If it has some sort of historical designation and can't be torn down, it's definitely a nuisance. It's almost like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know.
Yeah.
We know that several teenagers have died trespassing on this property. There's rents, there's all kinds of issues with this property, not to mention it's just nice. It's been there. I don't know.
We're replacing it with a product that has a track record of being, not that, I hope that these improvements in technology continue, and that they're continue to be explored. I just don't want the middle of Fort Worth to be the experimental place for that to happen.
It's too populous.
And even if we were to do it, I think we do need to establish some sort of time limit. I know that's not on this CUP.
Something we could do.
It's, if the technology makes sense, and this is obviously council's choice, but yeah, let's proceed, but we do need to have a way to monitor it and make sure that it's not impactful for 100 years. Right.
There's
gotta be some kind of scientific evidence that this new process is gonna yield something totally different. Just talking to the city council representatives from the adjacent and local, that may not show a true intent to really make sure that we're doing something safe.
Commissioner Romero, comments?
I'm ready for a motion.
Okay, the floor is yours.
ZC-25-428.
We have a motion to deny by Commissioner Romero and a second by Commissioner Rogers.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Mayo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Trujillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote? Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Evans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers, how do you vote? Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote? Vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends denial for this case. Next case, ZC.
First, so our plan though is to have them complete, we're working with city attorney's office, but to have them completed by September 30th. In the meantime, then, the other thing that we want to do, we've been discussing whether or not we want to do like a joint session with the zoning commission and city council to talk about some of the code amendments before we actually try to bring that to you all. It will be your September meeting. But yeah, there are a lot of moving parts, and one of the things we've also talked about too is with some of the form-based code districts is we know some of this we're going to have to live with it a little bit because like Chris was saying, it feels like every time we go through and read the bill and we start making changes to the code, we realize something, different, and that something different is not just for that one section, but is for the entire code. So, but to answer your question, we're training staff now, on things that we know are going to be the impact, but we're not going to have the code completed until September 30th, and that could slide into October.
The next land use related bills, they do affect the zoning commission, but like I stated, they're not as large as 840 and 2477 and SB 15. So HB 24 zoning notice and protest. So it changes the requirements for zoning notice and protest. It defines comprehensive zoning changes as a change that will have effect of allowing more residential and apply uniformly to each parcel in one or more zoning districts. A comprehensive zoning change also means adopt a new zoning code or zoning map that applies to the entire city. Comprehensive zoning change also means adopt a zoning overlay district that allows for more residential development and includes an area along a major roadway, highway, or transit corridor. The bill changes the protest requirements for non-comprehensive zoning changes. I believe it makes it a little bit tougher to protest these non-comprehensive zoning changes. Requires proposed zoning changes to be published not only in the newspaper now, but it also requires that the zoning changes be published on the city's website. A zoning change that allows for more residential development is presumed valid if no action to invalidate within 60 days of the effective date. And then for the comprehensive zoning changes, only newspaper notice and mail notice to non-conforming owners is required. And this last section is the biggest change, but it really doesn't affect the zoning commission. It mainly affects staff. So currently under our ordinance for a sign posting, let's say for instance, a sign gets posted and gets removed, or we forget to post the sign. Our current ordinance allows a zoning change to occur even when that sign is not posted. It's just not a condition precedent to a zoning change to occur. That is what we've done for many years. This bill effectively removes that language. So moving forward, effective September 1st, the zoning commission or the applicant must post the sign on the property on the right-of-way if multiple properties 10 days before the zoning commission until the council's final determination. So 10 days before this date and all the way through the zoning commission, a sign that is 24 inches long and 48 inches wide must be posted. and then the zoning commissioner or the applicant must provide, maintain, and pay for the sign. So staff will need to adopt kind of a new procedure and determine who should be responsible for posting that sign.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What's the intent, or what precipitated all this zoning activity at the state level?
What the state legislature does, I can't tell you exactly. It may have been a upset constituent of a particular district in the state of Texas.